Alhamdulillah, at long last, the Muslim community has been blessed. Blessed with a Marvel superhero, a female Marvel superhero named Miss Marvel. She's here to be our representative, she's here to inspire us, she's here to give Muslims a better name, or something like that. Now, who is this character? Well, I could tell you about her creator, or some of the thought that went into making her, but instead, you know what? Let's let her speak for herself. Here is this new superhero, Muslim superhero, Kamala Khan, interacting with Spider-Man. Oh my gosh, you're Spider-Man. I'm in a Spider-Man team-up. Oi, look, I put my suit on one web at a time. Did you really date Carol Danvers? I totally ship Spider-Marvel. I mean, Wonder Man's cute, but you have to tell me everything. Is she always so cool? Does she do her own hair? What music does she like? Man, that woman has some die-hard fans. Yes, there was a date. Let's leave it there, okay? That's what she did. Anyway, follow my lead. This sort of super smash-up is my specialty. I feel that scene is enough alone to tell you everything you need to know about Miss Marvel. But, well, okay, let's talk about her. But before we talk about her, let's talk about superheroes. If you want to trace the origin of what we now call a superhero, you'd probably need to go back to ancient Greece, or to the Epic of Gilgamesh, something like that. Polytheists were much better at making heroes than monotheists ever were. So, you can have your Achilles, your Gilgamesh, and all of that. Those develop as monotheism catches on in Europe into, tales of saints, people like St. George, who could slay dragons, or even figures like King Arthur. After that, you start to get things like Sherlock Holmes, or your Lupins, and those kinds of figures that sort of modernize the concept of a superhero, separate it from religion, certainly. And then, finally, in the 20th century, you start to get the modern stuff. Your Spider-Man, your Batmans, and your whatnots. But here's the thing. What I've just described is a European tradition. Muslims do not factor into it, or if they do, they probably are the bad guys. Miss Marvel automatically gets a bunch of accolades for sort of flipping the script on that. She's meant to be this relatable Jersey girl that can be a positive influence for all those girls. And, well, the reception she gets is sort of predictable. Right, here's a Yahoo News article, Voices. Miss Marvel is the Muslim representation I've been waiting for. And then it goes on. Being a woman of color from a Pakistani Muslim background, depiction of people like me were few and far between, and when we were represented, it was often through a stereotypical and one-dimensional lens. From the oppressed housewife or daughter to the violent terrorists, these portrayals were frustrating and didn't reflect me or the women I knew. So, score one for representation, right? Do we need a Muslim superhero? I don't know. Maybe. Certainly a lot of people have tried. You got this thing with the 99, you've got Samda the Invulnerable down there. Not really sure how much any of this other stuff has really worked, and I'm also not really sure how necessary it is. It's a Western medium, guys. Why do we have to emulate it? But regardless of whether or not you think that there should be a Muslim superhero or not, one thing I am very, very certain of is that Muslim superhero should not be Kamala Khan. Let's talk for a moment about the Marvel Universe. The Marvel Universe is an implementation of a tactic that the comic books used to use in the 90s, and most likely much earlier. So the whole idea is, you have a comic like Spider-Man versus Wolverine, right? So the idea here is to combine fan bases, right? People that like Wolverine a lot will get to take a look at Spider-Man. The people that like Spider-Man a lot will get to take a look at Wolverine. And through the magic of synergy, hopefully they'll come out being fans of both, and hopefully the people that are only buying the Spider-Man comic books before will go ahead and buy Wolverine, and vice versa. This is where the economic incentive of the superhero team-up comes from. If your Iron Man comics aren't selling very well, put them in an adventure with Spider-Man to shore up some interest. It made reading comic books as a young man pretty frustrating. You'd buy one of the things for $1, but if you wanted a complete story, you had to buy all of them. And that's the idea. All Marvel properties are advertisements for the other Marvel properties. They put Doctor Strange into a Spider-Man movie so that, well, when he has his own movie a few months down the line, you might think, oh yeah, Doctor Strange. I remember him from that Spider-Man movie. I better go watch it. It's a self-sustaining marketing strategy that, thus far, has not failed. And this brings us to one of the first reasons why I absolutely despise Miss Marvel. She is a creature of that strategy through and through. You can't just be a fan of Miss Marvel and nothing else. She's always making references to things, she's always teaming up with someone else, and she's always riding someone else's coattails. Her basic character is that she is a fan of other heroes who somehow gets to be a hero herself. The first thing she does in the series is go to AvengerCon to try to win a cosplay competition. The girl is positioned in her very basic nature as being subordinate. She's a fan. She loves these old guys. She loves Wolverine. She loves Spider-Man. She loves Captain Marvel and all of these other Marvel properties. And for the most part, it seems that she just generally is happy to be there. Happy to have been given a place at the table. Never, ever questioning why she didn't have a place in the first place. Instead, she's just there to reinforce, to recruit. She is very much a hero that knows her place. The second thing about this is something that shouldn't be news to anyone. The Disney Corporation does not have anything to tell you about Islam or about being South Asian. Rather, instead, what the Disney Corporation does have is enough money to pay a Muslim to pander to you. The second episode has a montage of a bunch of different groups that are found within their masjid community. You've got the pious boys, you've got the Illuminantes, there are converts/reverts, and all of that sort of thing. And look, this is kind of new, isn't it? You probably haven't seen this kind of humor before on television. Representation, right? Never mind that Citizen Khan sort of did it better. But yeah, here it is. But let's be real here. This corporate validation that you're getting, it won't last. If it doesn't hit the right demos, or if the Marvel's movie in December flops, that'll be it for Kamala Khan. The Disney Corporation is not interested in representation. The Disney Corporation is interested in making money. And don't think for a second that we Muslims are the first group that they've courted in this way. Anyone remember Alpha Flight? Of course not. No one remembers Alpha Flight. These were a group of Canadian superheroes that Marvel came up with back in the 90s. An attempt, like many others, to get a little edge in the market. To pander to some Canadian nationalism and sell a few comic books in the process. They got the same treatment that young Kamala is getting here. Look, here's a crossover with Spider-Man. Kamala Khan is for Muslims what Alpha Flight is for Canadians. Just an attempt on the part of the corporation to capture a new market. It'll make some Muslim noises and wear a Muslim skin, but it'll never actually represent Muslims. Let's see what we got according to CBR.com as Kamala Khan's upcoming villains, or nemesises, right? Because a superhero is supposed to be defined by the adversity they overcome, right? So let's see. We've got Kang the Conqueror. I think that's a villain from a different comic book, right? We've got Lockdown, right? Sort of cop gone crazy, okay. Dr. Faustus. Oh, he comes and he's representing Hydra, right? Hail Hydra, those guys. Let's see. We've got Kamran, of course, is going to turn evil. If you didn't figure that out, I'm sorry, but you don't have a working brain. There's this Storm Ranger, which is her tech doppelganger, right? So she's got, like, a robot clone. Doc X, the virus programmed for mayhem, right? So she's gonna have to face off against that. And then Discord, who is part of some predictive justice system thing that she apparently was involved in. Did any of that strike you as something that's particularly Muslim or particularly to South Asian experience or anything like that. I mean, couldn't Spider-Man fight all of these guys? Like, wouldn't he? Couldn't basically any hero do any of this? That's sort of the thing, isn't it? Kamala Khan, get past her skin color, get past the presentation, just another hero. Insert hero name here to fight, the inventor, who is apparently a bird or whatever it is. Right? So that's the thing. It will never engage with an authentic Muslim issue. It'll never engage with the war on terror. It'll never engage with Islamophobia. It'll never engage with any of that stuff seriously, because that stuff is hard. It's not really in the nature of the Marvel Universe to try to do things that are hard. Villains in the Marvel Universe are very straightforward, or indeed sometimes ridiculous. But nevertheless, this is a show that's going to keep things comfortable. Specifically, it's going to keep things comfortable for its white audience. You're not going to see anything controversial here, and all the Muslim imagery is wrapped up within these images of Americana, right? Hashtag mosque life, as was literally said in the second episode. Plus you got some shoutouts to Bon Jovi apparently being the first song at this Muslim wedding. Of course. You keep things at that level so that no one can be upset. You do things this way because you're afraid that someone might call you woke or something like that if you do anything else. Because you don't want to challenge your audience at all. You just want them to be placated, happy, ready to consume the next Marvel product. Look, I get it. For a lot of people, this thing is what they've been waiting for in a very real way. I see the posts on Reddit talking about how concerned they are for their apparent low viewership of the thing, and I see the posts on Twitter saying things like, "Hi Netflix, you see this little scene, this wasn't hard at all, and it'll mean everything to loads of Muslim women." Loads of Muslim women apparently being so inspired by Kamala Khan having a conversation with her friend about the hijab. I get it if you feel like that. All I'm trying to say with this particular video is that we can still do a lot better. Thanks so much for watching. If you want to continue the conversation, feel free to leave a comment. And it would be nice if you subscribed.